that's how we get our understanding about God. We aren't there. God's not speaking to us personally, right? So we have to get that information somehow. Through Scripture, through tradition. And those are two sources of authority. But what if those are the only two sources of authority? What happens when Darlene interprets a verse in the Bible one way, and Liz interprets it another way, and I interpret it a third way? What do?
We go to the
The magisterium. And the magisterium always tell me that Liz and Darlene are always right and I'm wrong. But we need an authoritative source to give us the correct interpretation. Okay? Dei Verbum. And the last one we talked about was Lumen Gentium, or the church. Anything you remember about the church?
One.
Okay, it tells us the church is one. What else did that do? Okay, that's a big E. Whenever we talk about the church, it's both divine and human. It's perfect and sinful. You know, it has those two components. And it says the church is a... Okay, we call it a sacrament. Why do we call the church a sacrament? What's the definition of a sacrament? An outward sign instituted by
Christ
that gives grace. Isn't that what the church does? It's a means of providing God's grace. Okay. Then last week we talked about a smaller document on the laity. Anything? Remember that stands out?
That we all need to contribute our talents.
Everyone needs to contribute. Remember what Vatican II said last time we read a verse? Every person that does not contribute his or her talent is
not useful.
Useless. Remember that? It's pretty strong stuff. Useless to yourself and to the church. Okay? And what is that special gift called that every single person who is baptized receives? What is that? There's a special word.
Charism.
Charism. Remember that? Everyone has a charism. So it says we're supposed to use the charism. Okay. Well, there are 12 other documents in Vatican II. In addition to the ones that we talked about. But of these three constitutions that we talked about earlier, do you remember which one was the absolute focal point? The most important one? The three constitutions that we talked about, which one was the most important one? Do you remember? The liturgy, Lumen Gentium, the church. That was the most important document in entire Vatican II, because this is the first time in the history of the church that the church got together to define itself. It defined who it was. All right? And all of the other documents kind of feed into this document on the church. They talk about smaller components. Because, you know, look at the other ones. If you have church, you kind of just think of it this way. This document on the church. What were some of the other constitutions that we looked at? The liturgy. What's the liturgy? It's how the church worships. What is Dei Verbum, or divine revelation?
Word of God.
How God speaks to the church, right? What about the document we did looked at last time, the laity? What's all that about?
How we participate.
Okay, how the members in the church are supposed to function. They all are part of the big picture, the church. Okay? So, what I'd like to do tonight is concentrate on this part, since this is the focal point of Vatican II, and all the other ones really feed into this and give us subsets of how specific parts of the church are supposed to work together. Let's look at the big picture. We looked at the document, Lumen Gentium, divine revelation of the church. And remember, it told us how the church is structured. What is the structure of the church?
Hierarchy.
It's a hierarchy, right? That's how the church is set up. Who's at the top?
The Pope.
No. Jesus, okay. Trick question. Jesus. But then on human terms, it's the Pope. Okay. So we have the Pope, Who's under the Pope?
Bishops.
He's a bishop.
Okay, there you go. The Pope is a bishop. Do you realize there's only three ordained levels in the Catholic Church? What are they? Bishops,
Priests.
priests,
Deacons.
and deacons.
So then,
Those are the only three. Within this, bishops, the Pope, he's a bishop. What is a bishop? What geographic area? What's that word called that a bishop oversees?
Diocese.
A diocese, right? Pope Benedict XVI. He's a bishop. Guess what diocese he's bishop over?
All the
The
time.
Diocese of Rome. He's a bishop. Just he's the head bishop. Remember in the Bible, how many apostles were there?
12.
12. They were all equal, right? But Jesus made Peter just the lead apostle. He's still an apostle. The same thing with Pope and bishop. Then we have priests. You know, there's subsets. Monsignors. You ever hear of that? Okay. He's a priest.
Like there's archbishop.
And there's archbishop. You know what an archbishop is?
No, that's.
He's the head bishop of
They
the
kind of help
diocese.
out the head bishop.
No, he is the head honcho.
Oh, he is the head honcho.
Let me draw this for you. You tell me what this is. You know what that is?
Oregon.
The state of Oregon. Very good. Very perspective. Going down Oregon right about here is, or what?
Two diets.
The Cascades.
Right.
The west side of the Cascades is called the Diocese of Portland. East of that is called the Diocese of
Baker.
Baker. Two dioceses in Oregon. What is a larger diocese?
Baker.
No. Geographically it's Baker, but population is
Portland.
the Portland Diocese. This is called the Archdiocese because it's the largest diocese in the state. So, what do you think the bishop of the diocese, the Archdiocese of Portland, is called? Archbishop. He ain't any better than Bishop Basha. He's just in charge of a larger diocese. That's the term Archbishop.
What about cardinal?
Yeah.
A
what about
cardinal.
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 Cardinal. He's most of the time he's a bishop. He just gets an administrative role. Their ordained ministry is the same. It's just their function within that. So a cardinal, he's more of an administrative person. In most cases, he's a bishop. And what is one of the main functions of a cardinal? What happened when John Paul II died?
Yeah, Cardinal
Still elects a new pope.
Yeah, he was Cardinal Ratzinger and he
But
became Pope.
He was in,
It's
he
still
was
like the
in
new
charge of
pope.
doxology.
Yeah, that was his title.
Right. So he was part of majesty.
Well, sure, yes, but he was still a bishop. He's a bishop, cardinal, bishop. Well, one main thing a cardinal does is when a pope dies, they're the ones who gather together and select a new pope.
Well, what about a vicar now? Is he below the bishop?
A
of the-
vicar, was this in
Yeah,
this
we
class?
talked
You stumped me
about
on this, and I
that
should have looked up. See,
Last
the
time I
vicar,
asked you.
he stands in for a person because
Yeah, he
because
said,
because we say the pope is the vicar of Christ. So that means the pope kind of stands and represents, not is, but represents.
well, when the bishop of Wyoming got transferred to Wisconsin,
Uh-huh.
the vicar took, Father Carr was the vicar and he took over.
Yeah, that'd probably be a representative of the
Yeah,
bishop.
until now they have a new bishop.
Yeah, so we have a structure within the church.
So in an ecumenical council, all of the bishops could be involved?
Yep.
Or is it?
All of them.
could be?
They were all, like Vatican II, all of the bishops in the world were invited. Realistically, can they all be there?
No.
No, but there was the majority of bishops in the world were there. There were some missing, but,
So Bishop Washer
Yep.
would be invited?
oh yeah! If
But-
Pope Benedict died, he would be invited to scrap that. If there was an ecumenical council,
He would be.
yes, he would be invited.
I think he